Welcome to Music Outlook LA, the podcast which highlights the independent artist, whether they are a musician, vocalist, actor, actress, live audio or in-studio engineer, or a videographer, photographer. I'm your host, Will Kimsey. Each episode, we'll look at the gigs of the independent artists, from the venues we play to how we set up and break down, the gear we use and why we use it, and the info we hope you'll find useful as we all make our way in the entertainment industry. Music Outlook LA is brought to you by Kim Z Entertainment LLC. Go to kim-zentertainment.com to find out what they're doing for the independent artist. Kim Z Entertainment LLC. Independent entertainment done independently. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Music Outlook LA. My guest today is indie artist and songwriter Pam Ross. And like our last guest, Pam is also a part of the Americana genre. And as always, here on the show, we're going to talk about the gigs, gear, and get some helpful insight from her to help us out through the industry. Full disclosure, ladies and gentlemen, I had some technical issues, so we're doing this a second time. Bear with us, and we are going to make this happen. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Pam Ross. All righty, let's just jump right into it. According to your own bio at pamrossmusic.com, you describe Americana as Pam music, which is a blend of what I understand several different genres. So tell us about the musical influences that helped you out to develop your unique sound.
Everything, really. That's why I write in different genres, and it all kind of comes together because I've always listened to everything. When I was growing up, very young, my mom was into classic country. Dolly, Johnny Cash, Willie, all that stuff, Loretta Lynn. And my siblings, who are all much older than me, I'm like way behind all of them. They were all into rock. So I was getting all of that, as I was growing up. And so I always do. I mean, I still love those classic countries. I love Elton John, the Stones, Guns N' Roses, Van Halen. Eddie's my guitar hero. Nirvana, Soundgarden, Foo Fighters. Pretty much almost everything.
That sounds good. I love it. Eddie's my guitar hero too. When we talked before, I also mentioned this to another guest, that the first time I saw a guitar player not pick when he did his solo and actually tap was watching Eddie, and it was for Jump. I listened to Van Halen from before, but never got the opportunity to see any videos until Jump. Diver Down is one of my favorite albums. But I looked and I'm like, what? I was just amazed with what he did. And the other artists you mentioned, grew up listening to them, getting ready for school early in the mornings. We had a AM radio station, KFI 640. And my mother would have just the music playing just for background noise or whatever while I'm eating breakfast. And there it was, we made it happen. So I heard all that stuff growing up. So tell us about the open mics that you started out doing. When we talked before, you encouraged people to do that. So tell us about that experience.
Yeah, I started out at open mics, which I think a lot of people do. And it's a great place to start out, to learn how to be in front of an audience, get used to being in front of an audience. And even now, I'll still go out to open mics to try out new material and just to hang out with people. It's also a really great place to meet other musicians and songwriters in the area. So there's a lot of good things about open mics.
That's all right. You guys, do the open mic. Nothing wrong with it. I know a lot of musicians expect to get up there on the stage, audition for the club owner or the venue owner or whomever, if they have to, and name their price, and they turn down the gig because it's not what they want. Folks, you may have to do that once in a while, you know. Open mic.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with being in front of an audience, it's a completely different vibe. Open mic is a great way to get started. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Houston. They have a very diverse music scene. Mm-hmm. So yes. How did it help you develop yourself as an artist?
Well, I don't know exactly. I mean, like I said, I listen to a lot of different music, so I was, you know, it's good to be in a place that has so much diversity in it. Just one, for going out and listening, and two, you know, when I'm playing different styles of music, people are, you know, accepting of that.
All right. You also had the opportunity to work with some very influential people when you, in your music career. Different places this lady has played at. I saw her schedule the other day, and she's just jumping all over the place. If you get an opportunity, again, go to pamrossmusic.com. Check out the itinerary. And if you're in any of the locations she's got on her schedule coming up, go check this lady out. I've also seen one of her videos. This lady's bad. Y'all, you're in for a treat. You listen to what she does, y'all are in for a treat. But as far as the influential people, I'm jumping to Nashville, speaking of going all over the place. Rover Sovine and Gary Harrison were two people that you got the opportunity to work with. So, for the young folks coming up, what lessons did you learn from them, or your experiences that you want to share about that?
Well, Roger, you know, he put me in a lot of BMI showcases, mm-hmm. which led to me meeting with Gary Harrison, who was head of A&R with Mercury. And this was, of course, back a while. I was really young. And country was still very country at that time. You know, now there's a lot of pop influences in it and other things. But this was back when, you know, early 2000s. So they offered me a deal in country. And I was like, well, I'm not really country. And he said, well, you know, we can change up the bass line. We can make this work. And I, you know, the more I thought about it, I was like, you know, this isn't me. In the end, I turned it down. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, sure. I've thought a lot of times I have taken it, you know, but I think ultimately I did what's right. Be careful what you sign into, you know, because it's one, if you're not genuine, people will, and eventually that comes out, you know, lying about who or what you are just to try and make it. It eventually, I think that just comes out, and it, you know, it can be harmful. So, you know, it's good to really think, is what I'm being offered what is right for me? Because if it's not, it can be. I mean, we've all heard, you know, seen and heard the horror stories of people in contracts that don't work out for them, or, you know, whatever. So.
Yeah. A lot of people have had, you know, those bad experiences contractually. Prince is one of my favorite artists. And I remember during that time period where he was the artist formerly known as, and he would just put the symbol, and mm-hmm. he wrote slave on the side of his face and everything. Because he was basically protesting some of the things that Warner Brothers did to him during the time that he was signed with them. And, you know, you guys, you can go look that up if you want. It's pretty well known, well documented, but it's things of that nature that she's referring to. That's just on the contractual side. There are so many other things, but folks, you have enough time to review your contracts. Know what you're getting into before you sign on the dotted line. And if they're pressuring you and you don't feel comfortable, politely say thanks, but no thanks. And don't look back. Be proud of what you've done. The authenticity will come out. It will come out. Radio play and chart placements. You've had success with that. Did you use any special strategies to get heard by some of those stations? And if so, what were they? And, what advice, again, could you pass on to the indies out there trying to get their music out there?
My special strategy is called MTS.
Yes, thank you, Michael. We're gonna
MTS, Group Management and Records. Yes, that's them behind that.
Yep. Michael gave me 1, 2, 3, about 4 leads, you being one of them. I think it's Stover, if I'm not mistaken. Michael Stover. So you want to go to mtsmanagementgroup.com to see the various acts he has. Pam, of course, is one of them. And I guess it's safe to say if you can get a hold of somebody like Michael to help you get on the air, then, do it that way. Because, I'm not on air. I'm definitely not going to go and pay. So, I'm a YouTuber. I get it out there as best I can, write my own material, and I YouTube it. So let's talk about your gear and getting set up and being out there in the industry. So as a touring musician, like I said, she's all over the place. Bad lady. Check her out. For your live performances, what's your go-to gear? What's your guitar? What's your mic? A lot of people use the Shure SM58. That's like the gig person's microphone there. There you go. That looked like a Sennheiser, if you ask me.
That's it. That is it. Yep.
The only thing about the Sennheiser...
Sennheiser 935.
There you go. The only things about Sennheiser sounds great. They just don't have an off switch.
No. Mm-mm.
So if you are live and your mic will always be hot, just make sure that you are aware of that. What about your guitar?
Taylor 200 series.
You heard it first.
Mahogany.
I found out that from another guest that the what I always thought was a drum company, Gretsch, makes guitars. Matter of fact, one of your management group mates, Ken Holt, he has one, and it's a Candy Apple Red. It's a beautiful guitar. And we had a nice talk about it, and that was when I learned that company didn't make just drums. I was just blown away by it. I've always known, because I went to NAMM and saw the Gretsch lineup, and it was just drums, and I didn't see them with a guitar set up anywhere. But that is what it is. I just didn't know. And I was pleasantly surprised to learn about that. For your shows, as far as gigs and everything, what are some of the challenges that you face when you are setting up, for example, to go through your shows?
I don't see any challenges there. A lot of my shows these days, the sound system's already there, which is my favorite way to play. Show up with my guitar, and I'll bring my own mic, but everything is there. But when I do have to take my own sound system, there really isn't any challenges. It's pretty easy. It's EV, bought it through Sweetwater, and everything's on my phone. Control it all there, and I can hit mute to stop my mic. And,
There you go. There you
which
go.
I can do. It's all right there on my phone. Set it up. Not really any. I haven't really faced any challenges.
So when you're recording, I didn't give you this, but it just popped into my head. Do you do your own engineering, or you just go into the studio like you do when you go to a venue doing the live shows where the sound system's already there? Do you handle any of your own editing or anything of that sort? Do you?
Not in the studio. When I'm making an actual record.
Mm-hmm.
No. I go in and I have my parts down. The guitar, vocals, keyboards, whatever. Send the tapes off to Canada for my lead guitarist because that's where he is, and but I don't do any of the actual editing. I do sit there. I'm part of the producing.
Okay.
Then we're putting it all together, and then I send it to Nashville to Mark Frigo for mastering and mixing.
All right, got yourself a nice little national connection all over the place. I'm jealous. But like I said, you have a great sound. I love it. So I guess you could describe yours as a blend of different styles.
Yeah, I mean, and it's some songs lean more country, some songs lean more rock. Some are like adult contemporary. Some have like literally everything thrown in it, and you're kind of like, I don't really know where you would even say this one leans.
That's okay. I know when I write my music, I like to start from the bottom up because as a keyboard player, I end up doing all of it, the recording, the editing, everything. So I dabble in drums, but primarily I use a drum machine. I pre-program it, and I know what I want in my head, so I'll lay that down. But I always start with the bottom, and I end up working my way up. Is that the same for you when you're writing a song, or do you start with your chord changes from the guitar?
I start with music first.
Mm-hmm.
I just sometimes I'll have words in my head and I'll go to my guitar, but usually I'll just bang around. I come up with some chords. I have written a couple songs on the keyboard, but usually I come in with those afterwards. It's just me banging around on the guitar, coming up with a riff, and then that kind of takes me somewhere, and off we go.
Off to the races. All right. Let's talk about that album, When Therapy Fails. What's going on with that? What are some of the stories behind that? It's pretty powerful.
That was my first album. I just released my second. And When Therapy Fails, that's a mixture of songs I wrote a long time ago and songs I had just written. So it's and the songs I had written a while ago, I did a lot of rewriting on those. They weren't, just as I wrote them back in 2000. Mm-hmm. I went back, changed up some chord progressions, changed around some lyrics to make them better, just your general rewriting. And like I said, and then there were some songs that I had just written and wanted to get on there.
Okay. Any particular tracks on there that I should go and listen to?
My favorite is No One Around. I love how that one just came out. I love the slide guitar on it. That swampy kind of a Americana slide in there. So that's probably my favorite. Fire in the Hole is also a good one.
I liked Fire in the Hole. I saw the video for it. Matter of fact, I pointed out or let you know that, folks, go to YouTube, pull up Pam Ross, watch Fire in the Hole. My favorite part is not just the song, but in the opening. how you have local bar across the top. I love it.
That was the name of it.
I love it.
When I walked in there, I was like, this would be a perfect place for the video for Fire in the Hole. I was like, this is like it. So I went and talked to them, and they're like, yeah, sure, let's do it.
All right.
Okay, sweet.
Because everybody looked like they were just having a ball doing it. How long did it take to shoot it?
The bartender is really the bartender from there, Ray.
Okay.
She worked there, and it was a lot of fun.
So how long did it take to get that video shot and out there? From beginning,
it took all day to shoot it. I think we started at around 11 and we finished it around somewhere between 4 and 5. I can't remember exactly. And then it took Rob a couple weeks to get all the editing and everything together, and for us to get it out there.
That sounds good. I like that. Yeah, it was a great looking place. Everybody had fun, nice, upbeat. Gotta love it. You gotta love it. So what are you currently working on right now, and what do we have to look forward to from Pam Music in the future?
Well, I just released the 3rd single from my 2nd album called Tonight, and I'll be releasing songs from that album all year long. So that's my focus right now, and I'm always writing new stuff. So, but yeah, the big thing is I'll be releasing songs all year from this album.
Okay, that's all right. So I thank you again for the redo, and let's just because we've talked about everything, we just got through it quick. I know you've got a lot to do, so I'm just going to wrap it on up here. Any final words for the indie artists trying to get as far as they can get, whether they actually get in the industry or if they're happy with just gigging?
Just be yourself, Don't try to hook on to the latest trend, because trends come and go, and if you're trying to be like everyone else, you can't shine in someone else's shadow. I think the best thing we have is our individuality, just being who and what we are. And I think that's the biggest mistake I see a lot of people do, is they try to look and sound just like someone else. And I see that a lot, particularly in Nashville. And, hey, we've already got a Taylor Swift. We've already got a Tim McGraw. We already have these people.
Yeah.
People aren't looking for their twin. They're looking for something new. So be yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I guess that's right at the top of the list of things that us indies should focus on. Authenticity, being yourself, being true to yourself. Okay. And finally, ask everybody what's up. So what's in your car? What do you listen to when you're out and about? I mentioned it before. I had a guest who could not listen to music right before his gig. He had to listen to news. It was his way of detoxing, because he had listened to his songs that he was going to perform almost ad nauseum, practiced them and everything. And so on his way, he turns on a podcast and listens to anybody and anything that involves talk. What about you?
I listen to whatever. I'll turn on the radio and just see what's on there. I'll put on my phone and listen there. It doesn't matter. It depends on my mood, what I feel like listening to.
That's okay, because you mentioned a number of folks, a lot of which I've listened to myself, and I like your list. I like your playlist. It's all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this very short episode of Music Outlook LA, Gigs, Gear, and Info. I want to thank my guest again, the lovely, talented Miss Pam Ross. Go check her out at pamrossmusic.com. And if you can't remember that, it'll be in the show notes toward the end. And please, folks, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the show at Spreaker.com, Spreaker, and you'll be able to see this and other episodes coming up on YouTube. And I'll have those links as well. So remember, Music Outlook LA is also available on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Amazon Music. We're on SoundCloud, Spotify, just about anywhere where you get your podcasts. And if you can't find it, there's this nice little search engine called Listen Notes. Might want to go check it out. You can find that and a whole bunch of others, and rate us on podchaser.com. So as always, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Will Kimsey, aka WK Music. Peace. This podcast is both brought to you and produced by Kimsey Entertainment LLC. Music Outlook LA is a copyrighted broadcast of Kimsey Entertainment LLC. The views and opinions expressed on this show are not necessarily those of Will Kimsey or Kimsey Entertainment LLC. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or any other use of this product without the express written consent of Kimsey Entertainment LLC is strictly prohibited.